Okay, so this is one of our junior cert higher level statistics questions. It has a stem and leaf diagram and then it asks us a few questions about this. So it says, the stem and leaf diagram below shows the number of copies of New Reno News sold each week over 17 weeks in a particular shop. Okay, so straight away there, we're given a piece of information, which is that I have 17 pieces of data. Okay, if they hadn't given that to me, it would have been fine. I could have literally counted up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on to see that there is 17. Okay, and it says the value in the diagram for one of the weeks is P, where P is a natural number and it's between 1 and 10. Now, this is something we already know anyway, because if you've got a piece of information in here, okay, in any stem and leaf diagram we have, that's always only one digit. Okay, so think back to when we had, let's say if we looked at the colour of our hair, okay, and we looked at people with hair of all different lengths, okay, and let's say, for example, someone's hair was more than 100 centimetres long, okay, so if we had it like this, where I had someone whose hair was length 3 centimetres, 4 centimetres, 27 centimetres, 40 centimetres, okay, if someone then said that they had hair length 100 centimetres or 101 centimetres, okay, that needs to be at the end. That's one of our biggest numbers. So actually most of the digits go in the stem part, okay, more than one digit can go in the stem part. It's the leaf part that only holds one digit for every piece of data. Okay, so if I had someone with 100 centimetre hair, they would go there. 101 centimetre hair, there. Okay, so the leaf part is only ever one digit long. Okay, so we already know that it's a number between 1 and 10. And likewise, it's always a natural number. Okay, if I was looking at numbers like, let's just say 1.3, 4.7, 4.8, okay, 4.8 again, let's say. Okay, so let's say this was the data that I was collecting. Then again, I would have my same stem, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I would just be putting in that last number. So 3 there, 7 there, 8 there, 8 there. Okay, so they're still whole numbers, positive whole numbers in the leaf part. Okay, it's just that they're representing a decimal point. So we can show that with our key. Okay, so remember after each stem and leaf diagram, you have a key. So over here, my key could have said something like 4, I just take a random number from my stem and leaf. Okay, so 4 line 0, okay, that could mean 40 centimetres. Okay, here, if I have 4 line 7, okay, that doesn't mean 47. I just show that in my key that it actually means 4.7 centimetres. Okay, so we know that that last digit or any digit in the leaf, it's always going to be a positive whole number because it's always the very last part of the numbers. Okay, so we are given in part A the range of the data. Okay, it says the range of the data is 39, find the value of P. So as a little recap, what is the range? Well, the range is the difference between the maximum and the minimum values. Okay, so it's the maximum value, take away the minimum value. Okay, so if I was to go and fill in this data, okay, my range here, if I was to fill in for my range, I know that's 39. Okay, and that is equal to the maximum, so 4p, so for example here I have, if it was this, that 3 represents 43. Okay, so 4 line P is actually representing like 40 something. Okay, I don't want to write it as 4p like this because then it would look like it's 4 multiplying p, which it's not. So I'm just going to find, well, what is that last number? Okay, so what is my maximum? And from that, I'm going to take away my minimum, so which is 8 or 0, 8. Okay, so if I want to find what that question mark is, I can get rid of the 8 that's subtracting. Okay, I'm going to add 8 or 0, 8, so that I get 47 is what the largest number is. Okay, so that's my max. Okay, so my maximum number there is 47. Okay, so this here, P, that wants to represent 47. Okay, so how do I do that? Well, P then would be the 7. Okay, because the 4 is already over here in the stem. So P would be 7. So 47 is my max. So that means then that P is equal to 7. Okay, so we now have the full stem and leaf diagram. Okay, I'm going to see, can I like colour over this and just add a little 7 in there. Okay, so we now know that that is actually 7. Okay, so find the value of each of the following statistics for this data, the mode. Okay, so again, I'm going to show the examiner what I know the mode is. Okay, I know that the mode is the most common. I'm going to get myself a few attempt marks there possibly. Okay, most common. Remember how we said we remembered that? It's kind of like the fashionable one. Okay, and mode is fashion in French. So our most common, so which number is there most? Now remember, even if I have, let's say, the number 6 there once, twice, and it's over here again, okay, they're representing different numbers here. I have 16, 16, and then 26. Okay, so they have to be in that same line to represent that same number. So the number 19 is there 1, 2, 3 times. So the mode is just 19. Okay, it's which number has been represented as many times or the most times in the stem and leaf. Okay, the median. Now, the median, remember, is our middle number. Okay, so our middle number. And when we looked at the middle numbers, we said that, okay, if I had an odd amount of data, okay, so let's just say we had 5 things, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so if I had an odd amount of data, what would happen is I would be left with exactly one thing in the middle. Okay, so when I have an odd amount of data, I get exactly one middle thing. Whereas if it was an even amount of data, okay, so let's say 6 things for an example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, then when I cross off first and last, okay, well, I'm left with 2 things in the middle and I need to get the mean of these. Okay, so how many pieces of data do I have here? How many things am I expecting to get in the middle? Will I be left with just 1 or will I have to get 2? Okay, so here I've been given 17 pieces of data. So I'm expecting to just have one clear median. Okay, so we want to find the middle piece of data from this. So we said there's a few ways of doing this, but one of the ones that we used more often in class was to just count in, like, get rid of the first and last, Okay, so if I was to do that here, let's use a green colour. Okay, if I get rid of the first and last, okay, then I want to get rid of the next last 2 with the first 2. Okay, we said we can change colours every now and again as well, so that we don't get confused on like whether we have crossed off the first and last, then the first and last. Okay, so again, these are now my first and these are my last. Okay, and then I might switch back down to just crossing off one at a time. Okay, so that I'm left with there the number 21. Okay, so the number 21 is my median there. Now I'm going to get rid of all those lines that I had added on so that we can use this stem and leaf later. Okay, it says the sum of the data in the stem and leaf diagram is 431. Use this fact to find the mean of the data correct to one decimal place. That's them being very nice to you. Okay, one, they're giving you a hint towards what the mean was. Okay, the mean uses the sum of the information. So it's giving you a hint there of what the mean is, because the mean is that we add them all up and divide by the amount that we have. So that's them being really nice to us there, because not only have they given us the hint that we need to use the sum of the numbers, but they've already added them all up for us. So all I need to do, once I've added them all up, which they've done for me, I need to divide then by the amount of pieces of data I have, which is 17. Okay, so all I need to do is say 431 divided by 17, okay, and I get 25.35, and that goes on. Now, it's asking it to one decimal place. Okay, so I still write it before rounding it, just in case I make a mistake in my rounding, that I can still get the full marks for the maths. And then I need to round my answer, so I'm going to get 25.4. Okay, if there was units here, for example, if these were showing centimetres or something like that, then I would write centimetres here. Okay, if you want, you can write down 25.4 copies, okay, of the Newry News. Okay, so that is my mode, median, mean. But I want to look a little bit more then at if we were to add in one piece of data into this stem and leaf. So it goes on to add in one piece of data into the stem and leaf. It says in the 18th week, there was a special issue of the Newry News, and there was a lot more copies of it sold than in any of the other weeks. Okay, it doesn't tell us how many copies, so it could be something like, if this was to continue on, it could be like 57, okay, or it could be 63 or something like that, okay? We don't know what it is, but what we do know is that there's going to be one big piece of information down here. Okay, it still says, so find the modal number of copies sold per week over the whole 18 weeks. Okay, so the mode. Now, because this new piece of data is so far down, it is not repeating anything that I had earlier on in my question. So therefore, it's not going to repeat anything earlier on. It's not going to make anything that wasn't the mode. Okay, the mode is still what comes up the most, which is 19. Okay, so my modal group there is still the exact same group as I had before. Okay, the median then, so the median number of copies sold per week over the whole 18 weeks. Now, instead of having 17 pieces of data, I have 18 pieces of data. So I have an even amount of data. I'm expecting two numbers to be in the middle. Okay, now one thing you can do is you can say, well, it was 21 before, now it must go to one further as well, so 25. Okay, or you can just put a question mark down here and then do the same thing we were doing earlier on, where you say, okay, well, cross off the first and last, cross off the next three and next three. Okay, cross off another two last ones, so cross off the two first ones, cross off another one at the start, so one at the end, okay, and then cross off another one at the start and one at the end. Okay, so we're left with 21 and 25 there. Okay, so we knew that we were going to have two numbers in the middle, and what we need to do then is get their mean. So I have 21 and 25, they are my middle numbers. I have to get their mean, so I'm going to add them up and divide by 2. Okay, so when I do that, okay, so what's directly in the middle of 21 and 25? It's 23. So 23 is my new median. And then it says the mean number of copies sold per week over the whole 18 weeks was 28.5. Work out the number of copies that were sold in the 18 weeks. Okay, so for this, remember what my mean was. Okay, my mean is the total sum divided by the amount of data. Okay, amount of data. Now, if we look at this a little bit backwards, okay, what this is telling me is if I multiply across by the amount of data, okay, if I multiply across by that on both sides, I'm just going to say number of data because it's just quicker to write. Okay, well, I now know what my actual information sums to. Okay, these will cancel because I've multiplied and divided by the amount of data. So the total sum of all my data is the number of data times the mean. That's what everything has to add up to. Okay, so I have 18 pieces of data and they've just given me that the mean is 28.5. Okay, so 28.5. So that's what all of these things need to add up to together. Okay, that should be my total sum. Okay, so all of these things, including my new question mark, are going to add up to 431. Okay, so 431 is what everything should add up to. So it's what everything should add up to. So when you do this out, it adds up to 513. Okay, and then my total sum, when I look at it, okay, so it's 8 and 16. Okay, now we done the mean earlier. Why did I not have to add all these up earlier? It actually gave me the sum of everything excluding this question mark earlier on. Okay, so you might remember that from earlier on. So to stop us actually adding all of these out individually, earlier on it told me when I had to find the average that they all added up to 431. Okay, so all these parts, all of this, okay, they sum to 431. But I now also have this new number here as well. Okay, so I have to add that on as well. Okay, so what is the number that needs to be added on then? Well, one way we can do this to get rid of it, okay, well it's adding, so I can say, will I get rid of it by subtracting? Okay, and then we realise that my number that I have left is 82. So 82 is the amount that were sold in the 18th week. Okay, so 82 copies sold.